The movie begins with CIA agent John on top of a building, watching a target. John is working with Ben, a seasoned CIA agent and station head. Ben is highly skilled, having completed many dangerous missions. They are monitoring a suspected Russian operative, Evgeny, who might be a threat to the US government. As Ben gets a closer look, Evgeny spots him and approaches. Evgeny assures Ben that he's just on vacation and not on a mission for the Russian government. Ben, still suspicious, warns Evgeny that he'll keep watching him and suggests he vacation elsewhere. One evening, Ben goes to a cafe to celebrate his wedding anniversary with his wife, Farah, who also works at the CIA managing data. They deeply love each other and have a son living in another city. Shortly after they arrive at the cafe, Farah goes to the restroom. Moments later, a massive explosion occurs. 6 months later, Ben is still deeply saddened by Farah's death and the explosion. He's determined to uncover the truth and continues to investigate. The next day, Ben visits Farah's grave, praying and promising to find those responsible for the bombing. That afternoon, he meets up with top CIA officials to discuss Farah's death. They're close to closing the case, believing the explosion was caused by a gas leak, not a bomb. Angry, Ben storms out of the meeting. Outside, Ben meets the CIA director, who offers condolences and advises him to accept Farah's death. That evening, Ben discovers on his laptop that the case had been officially closed, with authorities concluding that it was an accidental gas leak. Refusing to accept this, Ben is sure Farah was intentionally killed. Determined, he decides to solve the case himself. The next day, Ben goes to the CIA office and talks to Desmond, a skilled hacker. He asks Desmond to re-examine the data from the cafe explosion. To Ben's surprise, they find that several Russians were at the cafe during the explosion, possibly working with Evgeny, the Russian secret agent. Desmond suggests that Evgeny could be a crucial lead in the investigation. After talking to Desmond, Ben went home to learn more about Evgeny. As he went through the information, he got lost in memories of happy times with his wife, Farah. He remembered a special dinner when Farah gave him a necklace called the Fatima necklace, saying it would bring him good luck and telling him never to take it off. Ben had promised always to wear it, even after death. Back in the present, Ben prepared to meet his colleague, John, at a cafe. When they met, Ben was still upset about Farah's death and the CIA closing the case. He told John that he believed Farah was murdered, not killed by accident. John, being a supportive friend, agreed to help Ben and advised him to try and rest. Although John didn't say much, he quietly continued to look into the case. Before they left, Ben thanked John for his support. Later, Ben visits Hitchens, a close friend of Farah's, to inquire if Farah had any secrets. Hitchens assures him that Farah was a good person who never did anything suspicious. However, Hitchens reveals that Farah had saved a substantial amount of money that Ben was unaware of. She had entrusted this money to Hitchens for safekeeping, intending it to be for her retirement. Now that Farah's gone, Hitchens gives all the saved money to Ben. That evening, Ben went to a casino to confront Evgeny. They played cards together, and during the game, Ben asked Evgeny if he was responsible for the explosion that killed Farah. Upon hearing Ben's accusation, Evgeny felt insulted, as he was innocent. He ordered his men to attack Ben, leading to a fight. Outnumbered, Ben soon found himself cornered. Meanwhile, at home, Ben's son, Nick, was with his girlfriend. While she was out getting food, some CIA agents showed up at his door. They claimed Ben had sent them to ensure Nick's safety. Initially reluctant to leave his girlfriend, Nick eventually agreed to go with the agents after they insisted it was necessary. Back at the casino, Evgeny was being held captive, but one of his men cuts the ropes, binding his hands. Evgeny suggested they have a serious talk about why Ben suspected him of the explosion. Ben explained that since Evgeny was a Russian secret agent, it made sense for him to target Farah, who managed the CIA's data. Evgeny insisted he wasn't behind the explosion, explaining that he was just on vacation and hadn't been given any mission by the Russian government. To prove his point, Evgeny showed Ben the CCTV footage from the time of the incident, which clearly showed Evgeny wasn't there. However, Ben noticed a man in the video who used to work for Evgeny. Evgeny explained that this person hadn't worked for him in a long time and had joined a group of American mercenaries. After hearing all this, Ben started to believe Evgeny. Suddenly, they were attacked by the very group of American mercenaries Evgeny had mentioned. During the attack, Evgeny was shot and urged Ben to run away quickly. Ben managed to escape and called John to pick him up. Soon after, John arrived and drove Ben away from the scene. On the way, Ben asked John how he got there so quickly. John explained that he just happened to be in the area. After escaping the earlier attack, John took Ben to a secret hiding spot on a ship. Before they boarded, Ben asked John to check on Nick because he was worried about him. John reassured Ben that Nick was safe, claiming that he had sent a team to look after him. However, it turned out that the 3 CIA agents who had picked Nick up weren't sent by Ben, but by John himself. Meanwhile, Nick was taken to a building by the 3 CIA agents. He tried to resist at the entrance, but was overpowered and forced inside. Back on the ship, John asked Ben if Farah had given him anything before she died. Ben replied that he didn't receive anything from her, and even if he had, it was private and not John's concern. John then led Ben to a room on the ship to discuss something important. As soon as they entered the room, Ben was suddenly held at gunpoint by several American mercenaries, the same ones who had attacked him earlier. It turned out that the American mercenaries were actually working under John's orders, revealing that John was a traitor. The mercenaries tied Ben to a chair and started torturing him with electricity, demanding to know if Farah had given him anything before she died. Despite the pain, Ben insisted he hadn't received anything, which only led to more torture. Realizing Ben wasn't going to give in, John ordered the leader of the mercenaries, Karen, to continue the interrogation and left to try to get information from Nick. A few minutes after John left, Karen confessed to Ben that he was the one who had blown up the cafe and killed Farah, acting on orders from powerful people within the CIA. Shocked and unable to understand why someone would want to harm Farah, Ben listened as Karen was about to explain further. Suddenly, someone burst into the room to rescue Ben. The rescuer was a woman named Christina, who removed her mask to reveal her identity. Ben wanted to know who Christina really was, but she insisted they escape immediately. They quickly fought their way to the front room, battling John's men as they went. Amid the chaos, Karen confronted Ben again. After a tough fight, Ben managed to defeat Karen and pushed him into the sea. Ben and Christina then escaped using a nearby small boat. When they reached the dock, Christina drove Ben to a hidden location. On the way, Christina revealed that she was a close friend of Ben's wife, Farah. She asked Ben if Farah had ever given him a necklace called Fatima. Ben confirmed and showed her the necklace. Christina explained that the necklace was actually a key to a secret room that Farah had. And in that room, Farah kept a laptop filled with very sensitive information. Farah had discovered massive corruption by the CIA director, which was why she was targeted and killed. Realizing the true reason behind Farah's murder and their capture, Ben understood it was all part of a plan by the CIA director to get the necklace and access Farah's secret room. When they reached the entrance, Ben used the Fatima necklace to unlock it and entered. Inside, he found Farah's laptop, which contained evidence of the CIA director's corruption, including a large amount of money. After discovering everything, Ben called John and told him he had the laptop with all of the evidence against the CIA director. John responded by threatening to harm Ben's son, Nick, if the information was leaked. They agreed to trade the laptop for Nick's safety, and John provided a meeting location. After ending the call, Christina warned Ben not to hand over the laptop, suspecting John would betray them. Ben agreed, revealing he planned to confront John directly. Christina agreed to help with this plan, and before leaving, Ben contacted Desmond and sent him a link with all the corruption evidence, instructing him to release it to the public if he didn't return. Ben and Christina then headed to the meeting place. Just before arriving, Ben dropped Christina off nearby so she could cover him as a sniper, ready to protect him during the confrontation with John. Ben met with John, who wasn't alone. He had a sniper on a nearby building and 2 other men with him. Ben insisted that John release Nick first, promising to hand over the laptop afterward. Once Nick was freed, Ben told him to get into the car. Ben then gave the laptop to John, stating that their deal was done. However, just as John was about to leave, Christina took out John's 2 men, leaving John alone. Ben quickly grabbed the laptop back. Karen, who surprisingly survived, showed up to help John. Ben decided to escape in his car, leading to a chase and shootout. John's car crashed and Karen died in the accident, but John managed to jump out before the crash. Ben and Nick went to the crash site and confirmed Karen was dead. Ben then searched for John, who had fled. Soon, John appeared and challenged Ben to a fight without any weapons. Ben accepted the challenge, but soon found himself in a difficult situation. Using his intelligence, Ben managed to overpower John, knocking him unconscious. An hour later, Ben returned to where he had left Christina to pick her up. Shortly after, a car pulled up, driven by a CIA agent who had been ordered by John to arrest Nick the previous day. The agent apologized to Ben, explaining he had been instructed to secure Nick, not kidnap him. Realizing the agent was just following orders, Ben forgave him and asked him to take John to the police station to face charges for his actions. That evening, Ben called someone and asked them to expose all of the evidence of the CIA director's corruption at a meeting with international officers the next morning. Ben himself couldn't do it because he was still officially a CIA station chief. The next day, during a meeting with all the other top government officials, the director and others received a notification on their phones, and the meeting room's monitor screen displayed proof of the director's corruption. At the same time, Evgeny, who had survived the earlier attack by American mercenaries, showed up. It turned out that Evgeny was the person Ben had contacted the night before. Evgeny presented all of the evidence of the director's corruption at the meeting and played a voice recording of the director ordering John to eliminate Ben and Nick. With no way to deny the accusations, the director was arrested by Interpol. The next day, Ben was thrilled to hear that the CIA director and others involved in the corruption had been arrested. With all those responsible for Farah's death caught, Ben could finally live in peace. The movie concludes with Ben finding comfort and closure.